You smell like cheese. Come into my house. Smell like cheese in my house. How dare you? I'll let it go for now, but this is a warning, Buster. We've got a reading wrap-up for the month of August. I read 4 books and 1 novella. Same thing, I'm counting it. That novella was like 330 pages. That's a whole ass book, okay? When does it stop being a novella and become a novel? Where is the cutoff? Because 330 pages, I know books that are shorter than that, so I'm gonna count it. I'm gonna count that as a full book. The first book I read was Mad Ship by Robin Hobb. I actually started this back in July. I finished it in August. This was so good. It was even better than the first book in the Live Ship Traders, Ship of Magic. This is book 2 in the Live Ship Traders. Did I just say that? Robin Hobb's characters are just so good. The entire cast of this book leaps off the page. They're all so unique, all so individualized. They have their own voices and motivations and desires. And so every single time I switch POVs, it feels like almost a whole new story. And they're all compelling and complex. I love each and every one of these point of views, or I love reading them, but I hate the person, which is totally fine. I'm okay with that. And Robin Hobb really knows how to make me hate people. There are a few people in this series that I want to punch in the face so bad. I want to punch them so bad. And there are also a few that I just want to give a hug. I want to give them a big, warm hug and tell them that everything's going to be okay. And you know, I think that's the mark of a great character writer, when you can have such strong emotions on either end of the spectrum. And then there are people that sit comfortably in the middle there, where I'm like, I don't really know how I feel about you. Sometimes you're doing the right thing. Sometimes I am iffy about the things you are choosing to do with your life. And the plot of this, I feel like, is really starting to pick up. A lot of magical elements are coming in that are oddly psychedelic at times. Like, there are some sequences in this book that I was like, what the hell is going on right now? Like, what is all of this that you're showing me? I'm sure it's all going to be explained in book 3, but at the time of reading it, it was just confusing as hell, which I like. I like that, so I was okay with that. It actually makes me want to continue more because I want answers for what the hell was happening. Hobb is just such an immersive writer. Her world is so vibrant and full of life and mystery and intrigue, and I am loving this trilogy. It's amazing. When I finished that, I read my novel, not novella. I read the novel, Dregs of the Empire, which is technically a novella in the Sun Eater universe, the 3rd novella. I've read the other 2. This is the last one that's out so far, and it was fantastic. It follows potentially my favorite side character in the entirety of the Sun Eater series, and it was really cool seeing the world through his eyes and seeing this universe through his eyes and seeing past events through his eyes as he reminisces on major key points of the plot so far that we've only ever seen through the main character's eyes. Getting his perspective on it was totally refreshing because he has such a different way of looking at this universe and looking at himself and of looking at the main character that kind of recontextualizes their relationship and the actions that this character has taken in the past. So overall, I feel like this novella accomplished a lot. I feel like the character that's the main voice of this got a lot more characterization, a lot more depth, and I really loved seeing them go on their own sort of journey throughout this, because this entire series revolves around the main character Hadrian, and being able to go on like this side quest with someone entirely different was just super entertaining. And it led me to understand them better in the subsequent book, Disquiet Gods, which is the final book that is currently out of the Sun Eater series. This was so good. It was so good. I love Sun Eater so much. I think this is going to be a divisive book because it is ballsy. The things that are happening in this are insane. This is the weirdness of Sun Eater cranked to a million. Everything that was happening in this was just so mind-fuckery. It was awesome to me, and I think for some other people, it's not gonna land because it's just a little too weird and the directions that it goes are a little too out there, but not for me. Not for me. I love that stuff, and I feel like the path that this has sent Hadrian down is just so compelling and so engaging. He has to stick the landing in book 7. There are a few things that happen in this book that if he does not stick the landing in book 7, in retrospect, will not work for me, but I have utter confidence that he will absolutely pull it off. He will absolutely make it work, because there are some things really from the halfway point to the end of this book that are just holy crap insane, and if they don't get that resolution in book 7, if they don't get that delivery in book 7, they're just gonna be weird and they're just gonna be strange narrative choices. But I have trust that Christopher Ruocchio knows what he's doing and that he's gonna make it work. This book was entertaining cover to cover. It has some of my favorite sequences in the entire Sun Eater series. It is literally just balls to the wall, especially past that halfway point. Just non-stop something insane happening. It was almost too much. There were almost too many things that happened near the end. I feel like maybe it could have been trimmed a little bit where I'm like, did this necessarily need to happen? But the longer I've reflected on it, the more I'm like, you know, I just want more Sun Eater. I'm okay if this book is like 1,000 pages longer. I will take anything out of this universe. I will take anything out of this story. It's just that good. It's just that good. And now I have to wait. Now I have to wait for book 7, Shadows Upon Time. It's coming out next year, but I don't want to wait. I don't want to wait. I want to read it right now. I want to read it right this second. I'm already planning my reread. I'm absolutely going to go through this entire series, probably early next year, depending on what the publishing date is. I'm going to reread this entire thing leading up to that, and I'm going to buy all of them. I'm going to put them on my shelf over here. I'm thinking about getting one of the covers blown up and put like in a poster frame back here. That's how dedicated I am to this series right now. I'm already planning tattoos. Like, yeah, it's one of those series for me. When I finished Disquiet Gods, I had by far my biggest surprise of the year with The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I did not expect this to blow my mind like it did. This is one of the most beautifully written books I've read in my entire life. One of the most emotionally engaging books I've ever read in my entire life. I was just sucked into this story right from the start. I was engaging with these characters on a level that I have not experienced in a very long time. They're extremely relatable, and the way that she writes about their emotions, about their interactions, about the way they see the world is so relatable. I kept stopping and saving passages. Unironically, like every few pages, I had to stop and just reread something and let it sink into me. She has such a poetic way of describing things in this book that just really, really worked for me. I mean, it was really hitting me in the feels, like over and over and over. It got me super emotional. I cried a few times while reading this because it just really got under my skin in a way that it was touching on emotions that I don't know how to describe or that I've never been able to give words to. And then she was just, oh, here that is. Here's that thing you were feeling. Here's exactly how to say it. This is what you are feeling. I don't know how she did that so many times, but this book totally blew me away. I could not put it down. I have an entire like notes page of just quotes from this book that I thought were beautiful. I loved this. Seriously, cannot recommend this enough. I am absolutely going to read more of Schwab's work after this. I've only read A Darker Shade of Magic, which I liked. I didn't love. I loved this. This was amazing, especially coming off the heels of Disquiet Gods, which is one of my favorite books I've read this entire year. I mean, it's a Sun Eater book, so it was like all the way up here. I was picking this up and I was a little worried that it was going to suffer from the fact that I had just read a 6 out of 5 book, and then this lived up to it. This actually was so good. This is maybe like top 3 of the year for me so far, excluding Sun Eater. Okay, just erase that from my rankings, okay? Top 3 of the year. It might be like my second favorite book I've read this year. It was that good. My last book of the month was Men at Arms by Terry Pratchett. This is the second book of the City Watch sub-series of the overarching Discworld series, and I had a fantastic time reading this. Terry Pratchett is a literary genius. I don't think I liked this as much as book 1, Guards, but it was still such a fun time. Terry Pratchett is a hysterical writer. He's probably the only author that can make me genuinely belly laugh just over and over and over. He's such a witty guy. The amount of times that he plays around with language or just sentence structure and he makes a joke out of it, or he'll throw in some reference to something that throws me off but makes me laugh. He just does it over and over and over. His world is so wacky and unique and creative and fun to be in. And I love that his plots are snappy and to the point, but they're constantly funny and engaging. They have decent character work, and because this world is so interesting, I don't care how fast the plot is moving. I just love seeing all the interactions and the new things he's going to throw at me. I had a great time with this book. I'm definitely going to continue Discworld. I want to finish the City Watch trilogy. I've been told that the Death books are really good, and Death does show up in these books. Death is a character, by the way, if you haven't read Discworld. It's like the Grim Reaper is real, and he's very funny. Every time he shows up, I'm like, oh, there he is, and he's going to say something goofy. It's not like a bit, but it's just like this character is super interesting, and I really want to read from his perspective. So overall, I had a great month of reading. I feel like I haven't had really any bad months of reading this year. I've had some books I've read that I was just kind of on, or I thought, okay, that's good, not great. But overall, I have not read anything that I actively disliked this year. I've really enjoyed most of the books I've been getting to, and I have some bangers lined up for the coming months. I'm going to do my Stormlight Archive reread, I think. I don't know if I'm gonna have time, but I'm gonna do my best. I am very excited for Wind and Truth, but I have a lot of other things that I want to read too, so we shall see. We shall see what I'm feeling, what the vibe is. I do want to reread that series though, so we'll figure it out. Also, if you did not see my announcement earlier, I posted a video earlier this week talking about this, but I am going to be gone for the next roughly 6 weeks, maybe a little bit less than that. I have a bunch of pre-recorded videos that will be going up, but if you leave comments and I'm not replying to them or liking them, that's why. I'm not going to have access to my phone or the internet, so when I get back, I will do a mass going through and replying to all the comments that I've missed and maybe interacting with people on other platforms and whatnot, but just in case you are wondering why I ghosted your comment or whatever, that's why. But until next video, guys, I hope you're happy and healthy. I hope you're doing well, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.